In this video, we'll walk through a basic Stencil CLI installation on Windows, downloading the base theme Cornerstone, and initializing and launching the CLI. Full documentation on these installation instructions can be found on our Stencil developer portal. Before you can install the Stencil CLI, there are some dependencies you must have. First, you do need to have admin permission on your computer. Next, you must have a Git client. For this installation, my Git client came from git-scm.com. The install comes with Git Bash, which isn't a requirement but does give some command line enhancements. After that, you'll need to have node.js. Please refer to the documentation for the current recommended version. In addition, you'll need to install Python 2.7.x. You will also need to install Visual Studio 2013. The Community Edition is fine here. You may use a newer version like 2015, but that will require a custom installation to get the C++ compiler. This is why we recommend 2013 instead. Once you've got all the dependencies covered, installing the CLI is simple. I'm going to pull up Bash and use the following command. During the installation, you may see warnings about deprecation of the Good Reporter interface. You can safely ignore this and other warnings. After the CLI finishes installing, you'll want to clone the base Cornerstone theme to your local environment. In Bash, navigate to whichever directory you want to install the base theme in. Then, use the following command to clone the theme to your chosen directory. Next, npm must be used to install the Stencil utils module in the theme. You'll want to navigate into the theme directory, then run the following command. Keep in mind, if you clone a new version of Cornerstone at a later date, you must rerun this command in the new theme directory. Before Stencil can be initialized, an API account needs to be created on the BigCommerce store that you will be developing for. To do this, log into the store's control panel and navigate to Advanced Settings, API Accounts. Currently, only store owners have access to this area of the control panel. Click the option in the upper left, Create API Account. Add a username. I just use Stencil on this. Then, set your theme's scope. Read Only lets you connect to the store with browser sync so you can see how changes will look on the live storefront. Using the Modify scope will allow you to apply themes to the store using the command line interface. I'll set Modify as my scope, as we'll be using this in a later video. Then, I'll hit Save. Once it's saved, you'll get a pop-up window with your client ID and access token. You'll need these to initialize Stencil. Also, a text file will be downloaded so you have a copy of these credentials. Once you click Done, you won't be able to view the token information again, so keep the text file in a safe location. Now that the API account has been created, Stencil can be initialized. In Bash, you should still be within the theme directory. From there, use the command stencil init. It should now prompt you for the homepage URL for the store you're going to be developing against locally. Go ahead and enter the URL. Next, it'll ask you for the port you'd like to run the store on. It defaults to 3000, which is what we recommend. Next, it's going to ask you for your API credentials. First, you'll need the client ID. Then, the access token. Once all those are entered, you should get a confirmation that Stencil is initialized. From here, you can run Stencil using the Stencil Start command. Once it's started, you can see a list of URLs to access the local store, including external URLs you can use for testing on other devices. Here I'll use localhost 3000 in another browser tab, and I can now see what the production store would look like with this locally installed Stencil theme. In the next set of videos, we'll take a deeper look at making customizations to a Stencil theme using the CLI.